Hello everyone and welcome again to Wellbeing Wednesday. With me today I have the delightful Jules Whale from Jules Whale Coaching, Life Coaching.
Life coaching, yeah,
Life
that's
coaching.
correct.
I love Jules. I absolutely love Jules. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today that I hope will resonate with some of you is really how to get what you want out of life, how to get what you want out of yourself. Go on, Jules, kick it off. What's the big question that people have to ask themselves?
The big question. Sometimes, Sandy, the big question is not what do I want, first of all, it's what don't I want. And I think what stops us from exploring that sometimes is a feeling of being a little bit self-indulgent, and that can hold us back. Some things that we sort of crave for might sound a little bit out of this world.
Give me an example, the sort of thing that people would be reluctant to say, yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah, I can actually. I'll give you several examples, but one that came to mind really quite recently actually was a lady I was working with, and she'd got a job that she was in that paid very, very well. She didn't want it anymore. She didn't want to be particularly in a relationship anymore. She wanted some big changes. This lady was sort of in sort of tender later years, like I am, and the first question that I asked is, before what do you want? What don't you want anymore? And we start by unpicking that. And it's the very basis of NLP. And I'm not going to talk in any jargon at all, because that's not helpful to anybody. I don't understand some of it myself. So, but what it is, it's NLP is all about learning to communicate with your inner voice as well as the voices and the stimuli around you. You might have said to yourself in the past, I know I have, listen to yourself, or, I'm going to give myself a good talking to. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we're doing something that's tough, we actually do vocalize it. We say, come on, you can do this, you can do this.
Yeah.
And what NLP does, it's really, it was devised to actually improve the way we communicated with ourselves. Now, just to get that a little bit clearer, it was actually devised initially to help improve sports people's performance. And you'd see somebody playing a game of tennis, two people, and it would be really quite equal. And then one pulls away, and in the audience we're thinking, crikey, they've lost this now. And you can almost see the other person just crumple. Well, nothing's happened to their technique that hasn't been influenced by what they're now thinking. So once you think that you're beaten, you start to be beaten. And the people that developed this took it from that to actually, how can we improve our life on a daily basis? So what we do is we look at, when we're talking to somebody in this way, in the way of NLP, we start to talk about, how do you feel about these decisions? What are you thinking? What do they sound like? Because this is key to this. We all have different ways of taking on board information. You might have been at school. I know I was, because I receive things much better if I listen than if I read. Mm-hmm. And I remember that, I could close my eyes and still pick up the whole lesson really well. But I was forever being told off for not concentrating, because I was staring out the window. Well, I didn't need to look at the blackboard. I didn't need to look at the teacher. I could just take it on board. Well, again, when we start to look at this as a form of coaching, we start to look at this as a form of getting in touch with what we do want, it becomes really, really simple when we can actually help somebody to explore their deepest, innermost thoughts and feelings and wants and needs.
Do you think
that's what it does?
Do you think sometimes people are afraid to admit what they want because it seems so out of reach?
Yes, I do. And I think what we do, is we put ourselves in a position sometimes where we live in a way that's expected of us. rather than what we actually really do want to achieve or to reach out for, or to let go of. And I think that that's almost living as an alter ego, really. We can function really well. We can still do things and go about our business. But I think, Sandy, what that leads to is, for fear of being self-indulgent, we tend not to explore all those things. But I think that leads to the biggest regret of all, that we didn't actually have a go at doing something.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, that program, Ben Fogle's Lives in the Wild.
Yeah,
When people just go and like live off grid. Now, for me personally, I can't imagine anything worse than not having a plug socket. But these people, they go and it's like they fulfilled their wildest dreams. It doesn't matter how off the wall it seems. They've just said to everybody, no, this is what I want. I'm brave enough to stand up and say that this is what I want. I mean, I know that's an extreme example.
It is extreme. I mean, as you're saying it, Sandy, I have to take my hair straighteners. So, until they devise some hair straighteners that you don't ever need to plug in, that will bake my hair that I needed to do. But living off grid is as extreme as it gets, and it's not for everybody. But the way I believe, and the way NLP followers believe, and teachers believe, is that you don't have to physically live off grid anywhere. Your grid is in your mind. So we can take ourselves off grid and work through all these wonderful thoughts and opportunities and possibilities without actually leaving home. And it's daring to do this, isn't it? It's actually wanting to explore what we do want, what we don't want, what we do want. It's so important. And as I said before, NLP is a really, really good way of enabling somebody to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to finish. I know you're doing some amazing work with podcasts. Some of the stuff that you've put out there, where can people get to listen to your podcasts?
First and foremost, they're all on LinkedIn. All of the clips are on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn will then give the link to, I have a YouTube channel.
Excellent. Okay.
So they can dip into Jules Whale YouTube channel, and they can find all that. But thank you.
And I would recommend that you do that. I mean, I've chatted with Jules quite a few times, and she's an absolute diamond, and her podcast is so interesting. And I know you've got a really good one coming up.
I've got one coming up that I'm especially excited about, Sandy. Yes, I'm actually chatting with a trans lady that I've become acquainted with, and we're going to be talking about a whole heap of stuff around that.
Brilliant.
So I would say watch this space, Sandy, but listen this space.
Excellent.
And thank you
ever so much, Jules. And tune in again next week for another Wellbeing Wednesday, and we'll have another surprise guest for you. Thanks a lot. Take care.